everyone, it's Pink Pants. So today we're going to be playing the Chrono Jotters. I bought this game about, I believe the last Steam sale, but at the time it was only available in Chinese. But more recently, the English version came out. So I guess I won't be probably practicing my Chinese because my goal is to play this in Chinese. But I guess here we are. And let's just get started. Okay. This place was an enclosed space without sound and without light. Ibuki laid there, curled up on the floor. Her chest rose and fell gently in time with her breathing. She seemed to be asleep. Let's wake her up. In order to avoid burning her mind any further, her consciousness crept slowly up to Ron's brain and gave her a light stimulus to wake her. Ron opened her eyes and awoke from her dream. The cold floor was a shock to her cheeks, and she jumped up from the floor the moment she awoke. But before she could fully rise, she slammed the back of her head right into the ceiling. Shaking in pain, she bent back down again. She rubbed her head as she looked around, but she couldn't see anything. She tried to remember just what happened the last time she's been awake, but only found a strange mist over those memories. And within that mist, a single silhouette stood out, a girl in a school uniform with an open notebook in her hands. Ron stared at the silhouette, now acutely aware of the dire situation she was in. It's been too long since she's eaten a page from the notebook. Her heartbeat, the pain from her solar plexus, and her perpetually sweat-stained face all reminded her that her symptoms were about to act up again. Ron tried her best to ignore her increasingly frantic heartbeat, and with a practiced hand pulled out a notebook from her hidden pocket on the inside of her jacket. She gently caressed the rough leather cover of the notebook, and her wildly beating heart settled down a little. Like a clownfish returning to its anatomy, she wanted to open the notebook, but given how dark it was, she decided not to for the moment. I need to find some light. She held the notebook under her left armpit and raised her right hand, trying to get an idea of the room size through touch, but it turned out she hardly needed to raise her arm at all to touch the ceiling of the space. So she's in like a very enclosed space. I feel like I would be very claustrophobic. Ran was left with no option but to press her right hand to the ceiling and slowly shuffle forwards. She confirmed that this enclosed space was extremely narrow, as if it was a coffin that's been custom fit to her size. Oh my god. Ron decided to give up on escaping for now. She sat down on the ground and pulled her cell phone out from the inner pocket in her jacket. She turned on the phone's flashlight and checked what she was wearing, a winter-styled school uniform it turned out. She tapped on the screen a few times, trying to figure out her location, but the no signal indicator on the upper left-hand corner left her stumped. Rand wiped her sweat, illuminating the notebook, and flipped through the pages where her personal details were recorded. Ron Ibuki, Last Heresy Era, Investigation 3, Archaic Cosmos 3, temporary points, currently suffering from damaged memory, but clearly understands that her goal is to find her girlfriend, Ann Sakura, suffers from schizophrenia and hallucinates vividly when under severe pressure. Long-term use of osopine and therapy conducted by Ann Sakura has helped her recovery. Received semantic training in logical analysis and deductive reasoning, but memory loss may lead to impaired abilities. So she's dating her therapist? She licked her lips, staring at the clearly questionable listings there, and decided to try her best at performing a recollection to warm up her brain, if nothing else. Alright, let's begin recollection. I should choose carefully. When the notebook has the information, a notification will appear here. Click on the notebook and flip the corresponding pages to check for new information. Okay. So, I'm an investigative journalist, but when I reached the scene of the crime to conduct interviews, I discovered the victim was my love. What should I do? Oh, I see. I should charge to the police. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I should be I should put my feelings aside and I should stay calm and try to investigate the scene and not tamper with the crime scene. I'll be a good, I guess. I've illustrated a stunning, accurate portrait for a client, but they refuse to pay me for my work as we contracted. What should I do? Find out why they refuse to pay me and resolve the conflict? Still, treasure is greater than the value of the compensation owed from me from their home. Convince their nemesis to join me to gain revenge upon them. Are we vengeful? I don't know if I'm vengeful. Part of me wants to steal something, but then I feel like I would probably I think I would complain personally and just be like, oh my god, why the hell? But I think I might try to find out, though. I mean, I feel like my answers are boring. I probably should have chosen the revenge one. I stand before an old 2-floor apartment. I knock on the door to room 102, but nobody answered me. I'm wondering if a friend of mine who might have gone missing is at home or not. What should I do? Pluck the lock and break in? Lie about the being resident's little sister to try to get a key from the landlord? Find a spare key near the door? Well, I mean, I feel like I would have tried to find a key first, but I think the easiest thing is to lie about being their little sister. I think I'd probably lie. I don't think I would pick the lock. But I feel like picking lock is too much trouble. I'm really lazy. I returned to the school building during the night because I left my homework in my desk in class. But just as I was about to unlock the door, I saw a stranger in my classroom. What should I do? Keep my distance? Tell her a wonderful joke? Wait. Does the stranger see you, though? Or is it just like you just like seeing them and they don't even notice you? I feel like if they didn't see me, I'd probably run away. I don't think I wanted to keep my distance only. After I got shit-faced with my friends last night, I woke up with a hangover the next day and found that there was a corpse in the midst of our snoring pile. Oh my god, what should I do? Notice that the corpse is still wearing shoes. Take them off of her and place them at the entrance where they belong. Twist and turn a bit so that you're not touching the corpse anymore and go back to sleep. Take a selfie of everyone on the ground. Oh my god. Why would you but why would you take off their shoes though? If like, is it like a place where you just, can we just, I guess we, I don't think I'd be able to sleep honestly, but I'll just pick that one. My love is about to commit suicide by jumping from the edge of the roof. What should I do? Notice that the cops are approaching and try to delay her through a conversation, but to no avail. Run over and grab her, but to no avail. Tell her you want to be together with her as you head into the future, but to no avail. Oh my god, this is hard. What do you do? Wouldn't you want... I feel like you always want to give them hope usually, right? So I feel like I would tell them that you want to be in their future. Okay, so my investigation skills went up to 5, my clarity went up to 5, my charisma went up to 5. Maybe, I wonder what the score could have been about properties. Investigations represent the ability to discern contradiction. This includes contradictions in testimonies, contradictions in space-times, contradictions between knowledge and behavior, and contradictions between reality and physical law. Raising this ability allows Ron to discern tiny contradictions, accurately point them out, and pick up on the minor clues to reconstruct the truth. Charm represents the ability to discern emotions. This includes empathizing with the emotions of others, manipulating the feelings of others, attracting the love of others, understanding the feelings of others. Raising this ability allows Ron to take social interactions like a fish to water and manipulate others into willingly sacrificing anything for her. I see. Being charismatic, basically, kinda. And clarity represents the ability to coordinate mind and body. This includes agility and speed, manual dexterity, sharpened reaction time, skillful lock-picking, and escaping disaster. Raising this ability allows Ron to rapidly react to unexpected situations and make man-made obstacles and achieve this avoidance of obstacles or the seizing of opportunities. Okay. So Ren nodded. She felt that her personal information has been greatly improved now. But she was still a bit hesitant. Did she perhaps need to rethink her recollections? No, I don't think I would change anything. We can just conclude it. She decided not to recollect any further. She flipped the notebook to its rear cover. On the inside of the cover were 4 miniature ring sleeves holding 3 long striped bookmarks. Ron pulled out these bookmarks and placed it into the first page of the notebook. Now that all the necessary preparations had been made, she closed the notebook and placed it back into her jacket. Ron used her phone to illuminate the ceilings. The glowing screen immediately drove away all the darkness, and she soon found that there was a ring-shaped lock keeping the ceiling locked from the inside. She reached out and easily picked the ring lock and was just about to push to open the ceiling when she grew hesitant. Ron realized that she had no idea what was waiting for her out there. Moving recklessly might plunge her into even a more dangerous situation. Yeah, that's true. Like, you don't know what's out there. But she can't stay in there the entire time. And keeping the lock into this tiny basement, such as inside of the basement itself, seemed ridiculous at best. You didn't need to keep someone confined in a room by locking that room from the inside. Ron couldn't help but wonder what the mastermind which brought her to this place wanted from her. People just probably want to play a game, right? She pulled her right hand back from the handle and turned off the flashlight on her cell phone, leaving only a dim light of the screen itself. Hugging her own legs, she leaned against the wall and stared at the phone's wallpaper. It was a selfie of Ron and a different girl with the exact same uniform. The girl was her long-lost love, Anne, who's been missing for 4 years. Ron closed her eyes, letting the memories she made with her love wash over her. Even though she couldn't recall many of her memories clearly anymore, she could still remember everything about the two of them as though it just happened. Remembering the way their shared story had ultimately ended, she raised her head without hesitation. She moved herself back to the ring lock from before. Then she pushed the ceiling open slightly so that there was a crack from which she could carefully peer at the area around. Ice-cold air flowed into the underground chamber. Ron shivered a little and exhaled a cloud of steam. Outside, she saw a lightless hallway where the wooden flooring met molted walls. The hallways didn't seem all that wide. It's been a long time since Ron's seen in such an old wooden building like this. Ron guessed that she was perhaps in some sort of shack in the middle of the woods at the moment. Her heartbeat remained wild despite the progress she'd made, and the veins at the temples of her face continued to pulse forcefully. She had a skull-splitting headache and couldn't help but keep blinking. She needed to find a safe space and restabilize the rising pressure. If at all possible, she didn't want to have to eat any more paper. Did she eat the beginning paper? I thought she didn't. I thought she was trying to save off. Ron took a deep breath, scrunched her eyes a few times, and pushed the entire ceiling open. That's us. Sprawled on the edge of the exit, she craned her neck and surveyed her surroundings. A wooden hallway appeared before Ron's eyes. Towards the right of the hallways, there was clearly a row of standard-sized classrooms. So she's in an old school. With both hands, Ron pushed herself up from the floorboards, bringing herself back to the ground level. She looked towards both ways of the hallway. She didn't detect any traces of anyone sulking on either end. The lifeless darkness seemed to accentuate the chill of the hallway. Every breath Ron took, her lungs hurt, like they were being frozen over. Though the windows remained immobile thanks to the wooden grille holding them in place, Ron could still hear the freezing wind howling outside the room. Ron leaned against the window and stared outside blankly. She couldn't figure out how she was connected to this dilapidated school at all. Is this the school that she went to? She escaped a small mystery only to find herself in the midst of a larger one. The pressure mounting against Ron was starting to strain her limits, and not even the ice-cold air could steam her from sweating. With a trembling hand, she tried to wipe her sweat away. Even though she was missing many of her memories, Ron was somewhat certain that she was no stranger to anomalous events like this. Really? So she always put in situations? But she couldn't remember any of the specifics. All she could remember was that each of those events has been miserable experiences for her. And that each event has also been closely linked to her quest to find Anne somehow. Alright, I should come up with a way to get out of here so I can keep looking for Anne. Excuse me. Ron decided to stop wasting time and march forward. Okay. Oh. I already passed, so I can keep on going. Is that because of my checkpoints earlier? Some choices will require attributes to reach, okay. The number of points will be displayed. Temporary points can be spent to raise your attributes temporarily for the duration of this choice only. After the choice has been made, the attributes you raise will return back to normal. I see. Click on the people in the notebook. Run. Here you see the number of temporary points you currently possessed. Every time 5 occurs, a choice requires on an attribute, you gain 1 temporary point. Look at the underground chamber. Ran suddenly realized something. If this was just a school, why would it have such a bizarre tiny underground chamber in the first place? Holding that question in her head, she turned back to look towards the basement she just escaped, only to find an ordinary floor there, with the slightest hints of a hinge or a crack. Terror instantly rose into her heart. She quickly rushed back to the basement's original location, but tripped over her own feet in her rush and slammed to the floor. Ran didn't care though. Going along with the fall, she pressed herself to the floor and tried to pry the floor open with her fingernails, but there were no cracks to be found and no leverage to be had. The wooden floor had been a seamless solid hole, as though it was the door to a vast vault, unbudging and immovable. Ron slammed her fist to the ground, or on the ground. The only response she received was a heavy thump, indicating that the ground underneath was definitely solid rather than hollow. The basement is gone? How? Unrelenting, Ron continued in vain to find a hidden seam in the wooden boards. All of her attempts were met with defeat. Ron stared with wide eyes in the face of this impossibly unearthly floorboard. The last very stream of sanity that she maintained began to break down. She began to claw at her head repeatedly, trying to alleviate the stress she was under. Oh my god, we're all red on the far right. The more mysterious and unsolved situations she had to face at once, the greater that stress would grow, she knew. The disappearance of her beloved had been bad enough for her condition, and now incomprehensible situations were showing up one after the other. At last, the disappearance of the basement had become the straw that broke the camel's back, and Ran's condition swallowed up her thoughts like an avalanche of snow. Miss Sakura, help me. My mouth began to twitch, trying to stop the foreign masses from spilling forth from within, but I had to open my mouth. I had to drive them away. Oh my god, what's happening? The pain in my head and the torment of my stomach spasming as I drive heave brought me to my knees. My cell phone fell from its pocket and struck the ground, and its screen lit up. Miss Sakura. I twisted so that I faced the floor, clawing at my hair and bringing my legs as far in as I could. Oh my god, is she gonna calm down? Can we do anything? Are we gonna die? It's like so early on. It was those memories that blame, that loneliness which tore at me. They birthed that Pasitons opened their mouths and spoke, forced me to depart from the paths of well-trodden common sense, and drowned my reasoning into the black magma beside me. Stress, fear, and the unknown energized them, empowered them, made them grow ever more rampant until they were on the verge of taking away everything. But Miss Sakura, with my back bent and my flesh clutched, the notebook fell out of my jacket and splayed open on the floor, revealing a blank page. And in the periphery of my vision, I glimpsed at it, that pale yellow page, like the softest of bed sheets or the finest of meat delicacies. That's a very weird comparison. But more than either of those to me, it was the most like the tender smoothness of Miss Sakura's skin. Oh my god. Without realizing, my finger had already reached the page edge, slowly but steadily, as though a magnetic force was pulling them closer and closer. The moment they touched the page, a familiar sense of safety and overwhelming impulse of impending redemption washed over me. Is she okay now? My fingers tore a small piece from the page, crumbled it into a ball, and threw it into my mouth. And without even bothering to chew, I swallowed it directly into my throat. Did she just, does eating paper just calm her down? It's so weird. After a long silence, Ron finally stood back up, leaning on the wall for support. I should be able to hold on a little while longer now. Let's go. So where to next? So investigation mode. Click on the arrows to continue forward and leave the current region. So those are broken steps. First floor building. Regions can contain multiple clickable errors. Move the mouse to search for investigations. Areas have been investigated. By clicking on them again will allow you to read their contents. Okay. It's not bad. Wait, we already went there, so I guess we just keep going. Okay, leaning on the window on the left side of the hallway, Ron looked outward to assess the structure of the schoolhouse. She could see that the hallway terminated at the large gate ahead. The gate faced her directly, in fact. She considered the shape of the schoolhouse and decided that, so long as the architect had any common sense whatsoever, this hallway would definitely turn left eventually, so that it could connect to the front gate. Ron stiffed a little, letting the cold air of the hallway pour into her lungs once again. This time it didn't hurt. She merely shivered a little instead, her nerves sharpened by the chill. She now felt like she was in excellent condition. Her heart had stabilized, and her mind was agile. Eating a page always brought Ron into an elevated state like this, like a post-workout athlete who's just drunk a refreshing cold beverage. Now that both body and mind were in top condition again, it was time to deal with the situation at hand. She looked all around and noticed that the design of the schoolhouse seemed rather antiquated. Diagonal wall struts supported ceilings, and the windows were fixed in place by wooden latch bars, which prevented them from being open. Wait, oh. The walls were yellowed with age and coated with cracks. Clearly the school has been built a long time ago. As Ron walked, she gently ran her hands along the wall on the side of the classroom, feeling the texture of the surface. The rough sensation from her fingertips reminded her of the first time she touched the notebook. She had given great attention to the slightly grainy texture of the page. For some reason, doing so had given her heartbeat's pace a healthy increase, as though she'd been caressing her lover's supple waist. Ron shook her head and redirected her attention to the present. Not far down, she saw that the hallway took a left turn. Scattered moonlight shone down from where the feet left there. It felt unrealistic to her for a moment, like it was artificially glowing indicator right out of a video game, placed to mark the objective. But she picked up the pace and ran towards the bent in the hallway anyways. Oh my god. When Ron finally arrived at the gate to the school building, she found 5 racks of shoeboxes, typical for a school, most of them thoroughly empty. Ron wove between the shoe cabinets and found that only the third row of one of the cabinets held any shoes, exactly 7 pairs. Though the plaques in the shoe cabinets didn't have any real names on them, just numbers from 1 to 7. So the school only has 7 students right now? I think there's only 7 people in the school, and I think it's a game. But, Ron wondered if she should stay in here any longer to investigate shoes, or if she'd just leave through the main gates as soon as she could. She quickly came to the conclusion her top priority was getting out of here, not solving the mystery of the school or whatever. Ron approached the main entrance and pressed down the door handle. The door opened compliantly. No lock existed to prevent Ron from advancing. Main entrance not locked either. I feel like that's kind of tricky. I didn't think it would open, honestly. I thought it'd be like there would be something around here stopping her. Ron pushed the front gate open, the cold wind blowing from the outside. The room made it hard, from outside. The room made it hard, or the wind made it, the room made it hard for her to open her eyes. It's already November, and Ron was only wearing a winter uniform, and she was so cold she started hugging herself to stay warm. She advanced slowly, hugging her shoulders. The sound of the wind mixed with the rustling of the leaves seemed to accentuate the courtyard's darkness. Even though she activated the flashlight mode on her phone, she still couldn't see the path clearly. Looking around, Ron was barely able to make out the silhouettes of the building. Accompanied by the howling wind and swaying grove, she felt like the buildings themselves were beginning to wither as well. Ron passed on. The sound of the winds grew louder and louder until she could no longer hear her own footsteps. The cold, the darkness, and the slowly accumulating stress had all made her quite frustrated. She had made it outside, and all she needed to do was escape and find the school gates. So we have a recall point. At least I've gotten outside. Where should I go from here? I mean, I only have the schoolhouse. Can I keep going forward? I mean, I don't think I investigated everything there. Kind of weird. Okay, I can't bet this large has to have a dormitory, right? Let's try to get in, find an empty room, and lay low for the night. You're gonna stay here? I would, leave completely. I wouldn't try to stay in, this building. Worst comes to worst, I could just head back to the school building and rip down some curtains to use as blankets. I would be so terrified. I would just leave. Oh my god. Ron looked around, remembered that she's been in a lone house somewhere in the darkness not long ago. Unusually an isolated building far away from the main campus, like that would either be a lab building or a dormitory. Ron was hoping it was the latter. With high expectations, she advanced towards it. Suddenly, though, a flickering light appeared from a completely different location. Ron halted her steps and started staring at the slowly brightening light. Huh? That light's coming from the house, isn't it? Someone turned on their lights. Is it a student? Oh, because there's only students here? It might be a staff. The lights appeared so timely that Ron couldn't help but wonder whether or not the light was actually shining. The shining lure something kind of like an anglerfish. Ron wanted to know if there was anyone else here. Even if it risked a conflict, she felt an encounter with another person would at least help shine some light on her situation. As long as she was sufficiently careful, she'd be fine. After all, this wasn't even close to the most dangerous situation she'd ever been in, and now was no time for cowardice. Wait, I wonder what the most dangerous situations she's been in, because I feel like I would be terrified. She touched her notebook again, giving herself a quiet word of encouragement, and then ran towards the light. Oh, it looks like a nice house. The place that Ron arrived at in pursuit of the light had indeed met her expectations. It definitely looked like a kind of place where accommodation could be found. Most incredibly of all, it was a Western-style building. wow, it looks like the stained glass, man. It was an unwisely decision to simply barge into the building without any intel. But with the fridge's didn't leave Ron hesitant for too long. She quietly pushed open the doors and headed directly into the dormitory building without taking off her shoes. Wait, did they say that the lights are turned on earlier? Was the dormitory? That was some random house in the opposite direction. Did I read that wrong? Ron could feel her cheeks and ears frantically twitching in nervousness. Her eyes darted unnaturally all over for the fear of missing the slightest movement. Carefully, she shuffled her feet until she came to a fork in the hallway. Towards the left, the stairs led to the second floors, and on the right was... As soon as Ron looked to the right, she froze immediately and then quickly ducked behind the corner's walls. She heard the sounds of footsteps and pouring water from the right side. Poking her head out slightly, she looked towards it. Who is it? Who is it? Oh my god. It's a female student. On the right was an open kitchen. Inside it, a female student stood, facing away from Ron. She was quite tall. She held a bottle of fruit tea in her hands, which she was pouring into a cup. Ron observed the female student carefully. Looks like she's not armed. Hard to tell how fit she is due to this uniform, but most likely just an ordinary civilian. God, I wonder if, she can really fight and stuff. Hair seems a bit wet, probably just finished showering. She seems to be close to my age, could consider initiating contact. But from her perspective, what would she make of me? A thief? A home invader? Or an escaped convict? Do we have an option? Rand turned around and leaned against the wall. Whether or not the students were the ones who locked me in the basement, either way, I'm definitely not supposed to be here right now. Even if I'm just a victim, the students' natural reaction to a stranger showing up in their dormitory would be alarming and hostile. Not to mention the very possibility that it was the students who locked me up in the first place. I should reconsider and find a controlled approach that maximizes my chances of... Oh god. Oh. The female student suddenly appeared at the intersection, startling Ron into letting out a scared gasp as their eyes met. As Ron predicted, she didn't look pleased at all. Looking at her ear piercings and the things that occasionally peeked out from her mouth as she spoke, and for some reason, Ron found herself reminded of feral cats that lived under her apartment. She was taller than Ron, though, as she cast a shadow on Ron's face just by standing over her. It made Ron feel diminished and stressed. A few stray memories from Ron's miserable experience at school flashed through her mind. She quickly blinked them away and focused on the reality before her. Who are you? What are you doing here? Looks like she doesn't know anything about my situation. Let's see where her conversation gets me. Damn it, my charisma's not 6. Well, I mean, it'd be best if I could calm her down. My charisma's only 5, so I can notice her I could do her bracelet. I'll do her bracelet. I don't know if, calming her down is going to help in this case. Your bracelet's nervous. What does that mean? I'm asking who you are. Stop wasting my time. She's so fierce. My name is Ron Ibuki. First name Ron, last name Ibuki. But we're all speaking Chinese here, so you can call me Lin Xinlan. The hell are you talking about? The female student scrunched her brow and stared at Ron. How could I possibly be speaking Chinese? You're speaking Japanese right now, aren't you? There was no question the sound that Ron perceived from both her and the female student's mouths were both the most utterly ordinary Chinese. What's going on? I'm clearly speaking Chinese, and she's also... Let's try testing this. This is actual Japanese, isn't it? As soon as Ron spoke about, she clasped her hands to her mouth. She spoke those words with Japanese grammar and punctuation, and she was certain that she felt her mouth form the correct shapes for such. But what she heard was completely unremarkable Chinese coming out of her mouth. It was that there was a parasite living in her mouth, controlling her mouth for her. The orders were given by her brain and the movements of her muscles were in alignment, and yet the results had turned out completely different from her expectations. She never experienced such incongruity before, and it left her terrified. That's really strange. Ron held a hand to her forehead, her expression anxious. Hey, I can call you Ibuki, right? Why'd you get quiet all of a sudden? Nothing, just call me Ibuki. You? The girl seemed rather confused about Ron's rapid shift in demeanor, but soon loosened her brows and spoke. My name is Sai. I'm a student here. Sai. You're no. That's a quick search. After meeting new character, relevant information. Okay. Click on people. Insight, dexterity, charm. The uniform and style dress was the first student that Ibuki ran into. She speaks unkindly, but has no hostility. She loves swimming. She goes to the swimming pool whenever she gets a chance. When she's in water, she feels like she can hear her sister's voice. Did her sister pass away in the water? Sai had apparently fully relaxed her guard and returned to the rhythm of her ordinary life, which surprised Ron quite a bit. Her reaction to sudden appearance of a stranger in her dormitory had quite been underwhelming. Suddenly, Ron started to worry about whether Sai had gotten used to this sort of thing. Had there been many past cases where somebody or someone had intruded into the school in an accident and run to Sai at the dorm and was never then seen again? Well, if that was the trope at hand, then the next plot beat would probably involve Ron running into a bunch of people in the same situation until finally, when dawn broke, only Ron and the final girl would be able to escape. I feel like Battle Royale-ish. She couldn't help but laugh at the third-rate horror movie plot she appeared in her mind. Well, it's pretty late. You should go to bed. I'll introduce you to everyone else tomorrow morning. You can sleep in my room tonight. Wow, trusting. Your room? That's a bit sudden, isn't it? Well, everyone else has a roommate. My room's the last one with vacancy, that's why. Ron nodded, even though that wasn't really what Ron was asking. I see. You're fine with that, though? Ron took a quick look over the overlay of the layout there while she talked. There was a dining table in the open kitchen. On the other side was on the other side of the dining table, a set of stairs connected to the first floor with a second. Under those stairs, a passageway led deeper into the dormitory. Ron took the opportunity to memorize the layout of the area. It was clearly a spacious building. If each room had multiple people in it, and Sai's room was only one with an empty bed, that implies that the number of students here might be greater than 7. I'm a stranger to you, aren't I? I thought you'd be more cautious about me. And me? Should I trust a stranger like her? In response, Sai gulped down the last of her fruit tea before stepping into the kitchen, saying, You're the same age as me, and you don't seem like a bad sort. She turned on the faucet and began to wash her nearly empty cup. The water made a pleasant splashing sound as it passed over the sides of the cup and flowed into the sink. Before long, Sai turned the faucet off and started wiping her hands. Unless you're telling me you're really here to cause trouble. Of course not. I'm a decent person. I feel like... The way that Ron spoke with resolve made Sai laugh. Well, there you go. Come with me. Don't forget to take your shoes off. Well, I think I should head upstairs with her. I don't know. Part of me wants to leave, but I feel like if I leave, it's a trap. And I feel like going on the flight, I'm gonna head upstairs with her and see if I'm gonna die. Ron returns to the entrance of the building and took the opportunity to inspect every single inch of the shoe cabinet when she went to drop off her shoes. Sai, meanwhile, simply climbed up the hallway of the stairs, took a leaning position against the guardrail, and calmly waited for Ron to finish doing her thing. Ron counted the number of shoes. There were 7 pairs of shoes. Most of them were various kinds of student-appropriate shoes, but a pair of short boots stood alone at the very bottom of the cabinet. So there are really only 7. Wait, are you not done? Are you still not done? Sai's yell started to run a little, and she reflexively scrunched up her shoulders as she answered Sai. Sorry, I'll be right there. Rana ultimately closed the cabinet without putting her own shoes in. Rather, she left them at the main entrance, toes pointing outwards, and followed Sai upstairs to the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor hallway wasn't long. On the left was the balcony from which you could see the bottom floor. On the right, you can quickly walk to see the end of the hall. At the end were 4 doors, none of which were marked by nameplates, exactly the amount of room for 7 people. As far as the layout of the 1st and 2nd floors went, the building felt less like a student dormitory and more like ordinary civilian residence. Sai pulled open the outermost door and gestured for Ron to head in first. Oh, that's a nice dormitory. Ron nodded, entered, and immediately began inspecting everything, without so much as asking permission, while Sai got to work spreading a bedsheet out onto the lower bunk. The amenities to the dorm room were rather simple. Besides the rather simplistic posters on the wall, there were only standardized furniture and a little in the way of additional decorations. Ron wondered if this was because of the school rules or if it was just due to Sai's own personality. After that, she took a few more laps around the room before settling by the window. The endless darkness outside the windows mellowed seamlessly into the night sky, as though a vast curtain veiled the whole dormitory. Alright, that's enough rummaging around for you. Time to get in the lower bunk and sleep. Okay, thanks. After that, Sai didn't say much. She climbed on the top bunk and used a switch near the head of the bed to turn off the lights. Seeing the situation, Ron took the light from her phone out and used to light the path to her bed. She took off her socks and outerwear and lay down in the bed. Its warmth warded away the cold, letting her finally relax fully. The situation had developed quite well, much better than Ron had been imagining. She quietly looked forward to being able to leave the place tomorrow with the help of some other students and to set off once again on her journey to find Ann Sakura. She pulled up her blankets and tucked in. The winter blankets are so cozy, and I don't know why, but talking to Yurno was relaxing for some reason. I feel like it's too nice. It's supposed to be like, thanks to her, my situation improved a lot. I should really thank her again. Yurno, shut it. Sleep. Okay. Are you playing from her perspective? Ron opened her eyes, tossing and turning on the bed. The unfamiliar environment, careless mysteries continued to torment her mind, even though the pain which emanated from both her brows and her brain reminded Ron that she reached truly dangerous level of fatigue. She still couldn't get to sleep. Ron rolled over and turned her phone on, hoping to find some comforts in her photos of Anne. Her photo, it's cracked. It's kind of, I feel like I would have like a photo that's opposite and flip it, so maybe her girlfriend isn't like, on the crack side. Now I feel even worse. Ron closed her eyes, and against her will, the memories of the time she spent together with Anne began forcefully replaying themselves before her eyes. The beautiful past made the painful present even more unbearable. Ron clenched her brows tightly, but did nothing to stop this venom, sweet like honey, from spreading all over her. Hugging her shoulders, she trembled. Miss Sakura, where are you? Fatigue and drowsiness finally overcame nostalgic memory, and Ron gradually fell asleep, with dream-born tears flowing from her eyes. She's surely dreaming about Anne. The next day. You're always hide here alone. What happened? Yes, Miss Sakura, I've always been alone until you found me. Let me wipe your tears. Tell me what happened. I'm so sorry, Miss Sakura. I can only cry. I can't even speak clearly. I'm scared of pain, scared of being bullied. Oh my god. Don't worry. From now on, I'll be with you. Oh no, Miss Sakura, but I still want to be the most important person to you. I'm glad you say that. I'm really happy. I am too. If the venom can... Wait, your hands are clumsy. You hurt me. Miss Sakura's expression is different from usual. It must be something that only I can see. And you and I have a special relationship, right? Ron, from now on, we will never be apart, of course. Where are you? Come out quickly. Where are you? Come back soon? Nisai Nala. Where are you? Come out quickly? I'm not sure if I should read the Chinese or if I should keep on reading. I want to see you. Oh, time to get up. After being called awake, Ron opened her eyes forcefully. Turning her head into support, she stared at Sai, who had already put her uniform on. Then she looked overhead, bedboard. Only now her memories of the previous night started to reawaken. Ron sat on the bed, her back bent, and her mind still slightly muddled, trying to retain the voice of her love from her dream just a little longer. But soon it all dissipated, and all that was left was brought before Ron's eyes were a stranger and a stranger's room. She looked towards her own jacket, remembered the corner she tore from the notebook yesterday. Then she shook her head. It wasn't time yet. After all, after Anne disappeared, she already been forcing to eat 18 whole pages out of the notebook to stifle the increasingly serious symptoms of her condition. Oh my god, 18? How long has Anne disappeared for? Are you okay? Ron shook her head and stared at with side eyes at the change of Sai's head that she couldn't ignore. You looking at something? Nothing. I just, cool hairstyle. Somehow I get the impression you're not actually complimenting me. Whatever, just get up already. Ron took a lazy stretch. She noticed that Sai was holding a small baggie of something. She shook it a few times and Ron's eyes tracked as it swung back and forth like a pendulum. You can stop staring now. That's the bag for my swimsuit. I'm planning on getting in a swim in the morning before the morning meetup. Swimming? There's a swimming pool here? No shit. What? You think I'm gonna go to the backstroke across the yard? Now hurry up and come to the washstand with me. The only person that's on duty for today should have already gotten up, so I have to keep an eye on you in my place from now on. Sure. I noticed it from last night when I entered yours room as well. Despite how well furnished this place is, it doesn't have private bathrooms. I guess that means even the sinks where you brush your teeth is communal. Ron rolled out of bed, put her socks on, picked up her jacket, and headed out the room with Sai. Yawning, she pulled her jacket on as she walked. After she was done adjusting its collar, she got her phone out. The screen showed that it was 6 o'clock exactly, quite early. She followed Sai, descending the first floor and turning into the hallway next to the stairs. Soon Sai could hear the sound of flowing water not too far away. Wonder who else will meet. Oh, Indu, you're on duty today, right? The person Sai had addressed as Indu turned with her hands crossed before her and made a light bow to Sai. Oh, she's cute. Good morning, Irona-san. Yeah, perfect timing. Then I'm handing it over to you. Ibuki, come over here. Okay, boss. Ron quickly followed Sai and stepped to her side, preparing to greet Indo. But the moment she saw Indo, she paused. On the other hand, the one who's calling Indo reacted much more noticeably. She stared back and forth between Sai and Ron, apparently struck speechless, only capable of making sounds of surprises. What's with you? Why is there a stranger? You're not son. Who is she? Calm down and do deep breath. Indo Indo nodded forcefully, then started taking deep breaths, as Saya had suggested. Indo apparently took the idea of deep breaths extremely seriously, practically flinging her head all the way behind her back with every breath. Oh my god, that's like really, really, really seriously. Indo, huh? Like the character of her puppy. It does suit her. She's pretty adorable. Why is she wearing a hakama though? And hakamas aren't usually supposed to have flowery decorations like that. Looking closely, the oversize looks a bit similar to Yuno's sailor style uniform. Oh yeah, it does look similar with the color theme, right? And like that, but it doesn't have the leaves. Okay, I'm calm now. Calm. Saya smiled and gave the hair bun on the back of Indu's head a light tossing up. Okay, then I'm leaving the rest of you. Why don't you send Ibuki to the classroom? Oh, yeah, and by the way, last night after I came back from soda-bean, I noticed that the showers weren't getting any water. Make sure you at least let Ann Sakura know about that when you get to class so she can come and fix it in the afternoon. So last night, when Yora's hair was wet, that was because she's gotten back from showering at the swimming pool? Though, wouldn't her hairstyle cause trouble for her while she was swimming? That's curious. How curious. Okay, son, I'll remember to pass it on. Sai nodded before turning to Ron and speaking. Good, so Ibuki, just stick with Indo and you'll be fine. Don't bully her or I'll beat you up. Where did you get the idea for me from? Sai laughed and then headed to the washstand to brush her teeth. Good morning, you're Ibuki-san, correct? That's right, my name's Ron Ibuki. Indo's speaking Chinese too, but if I ask her about it, I'm sure she'll have the same reaction that Yuno did last night. And now there's the question is, why is Indo wearing her hakama too? Maybe she's some kind of exception to the school rules. I'm Tama Indo. Nice to meet you. Okay, what do we know about her from this? She's so cute. After you told me Indo to calm down, it was like a switch has been flipped. Her attitude had done a 180, just like when Yuno had met me last night. Here's some spare toothbrushes and cups. You can use these. As Thomas spoke, she raised herself onto her tippy toes and opened the cabinet behind the washroom mirror. After a moment's hesitation, she took out a fresh toothbrush and still sealed in its packaging and presented it to Ron with both hands. Then she turned around again and dug up a cup, which she washed several times under the faucet. Then with her right hand holding the handle and her left hand supporting the base of the cup, she delivered the cup to Ron. So formal. By now Saya's finished cleaning up, she gave Ron a pat on the shoulder and waved farewell to Tama before she departed for the dormitories. The direction's heading was opposite of the main entrance. Ron rinsed her mouth as she watched Saya depart. Then she spat out the foam, cleaned out the cup, and put it back on the washstand. But Tama didn't seem satisfied. She took Ibuki's cup and gave it a second washing before replacing it back in the mirror. Well, now I feel a bit embarrassed. Now, if you allow me to escort you to your classroom, Ibuka-sama. Oh, Ibuka-sama. What did she just call me? With a light smile on her face, Tama bowed slightly before placing her hands in front of herself and quickly stopping in front of Ron. Ron followed her up to the entrance. Tama bent down and opened the bottom shelf of the shoe cabinet. She took out a pair of short boots and sat down methodically to lace them on. Ron's shoes had long since molded themselves to her feet, so it did take more than a few seconds for her to slip them on. She waited next to the door for Tama to finish. Tama meticulously tied her shoelace in exactly the proper configuration and made a slight few turns after she stood up, as is to confirm that she put her shoes on properly. After that was done, she tapped on the ground with her shoe tips to make a slight bow towards the interior of the dormitory before she finally spoke to Ron. Thank you for your patience. Let's depart. Ron noted in agreement, and the two left the dormitory together, heading towards the schoolhouse that Ron had just escaped the previous night. So we've met 2 of the 7. During the day, the courtyard seemed quite plain and unassuming, much different from ominous it seemed last night. Ron walked quite quickly, behind Tama, observing the distant mountain ranges, the coarse soil under the feet, and the old wooden buildings around her. Suddenly, a thread of nostalgia rose in her, and she found herself thinking of the time she and Anne visited Anne's grandmother's in the countryside. Anne's grandmother had a strange disposition and kept calling Ron a little raccoon for some reason. She had a seeming gentle and kind with her granddaughter, though. She'd often wheel a little hand cart by to bring them chilled watermelon, while Ron and Anne were finishing next to the river, though she always wound up eating Ron's portion herself somehow. I dearly didn't like being called a little raccoon, but Miss Sakura said the raccoons were adorable, so I had no choice but to let her grandmother keep calling me that. Wait, what am I even doing? When Ron had followed Tama all the way to the vicinity of the schoolhouse, she halted and called out to Tama. Hold on, Indu. Almost letting myself get caught up in the atmosphere. I'm not here to attend school. Indu, I only stumbled to the school because I got lost, but I'd like to get out of here before one of your teachers catches me. Could you tell me which way it is to the stations from the gates? After hearing Ron out, Tama shook her head and opened her mouth to speak. I'm sorry, Ibuki. There's only 7 students here and no teachers. Okay, wait. Tama smiled as if she thought of something pleasant. Well, 8 of us, including you, Ibuki-san. Wait. If there's now 7, so they basically run the school. She decided to scrutinize Tama's words, so she simply clawed a bit at her hair and gave up thinking about it. She already made up her mind last night in the school building that she didn't need to explain the mysteries of the school. As long as she could get out of here, it'd be enough. Okay, so there's no teachers in school then. So could you tell me where I should go if I want to leave? Because I'd love to help you, but it's impossible to leave right now. Wait, what do you mean? What? What do you mean it won't be easy? Ron narrowed her eyes. She figured it wouldn't be that easy. Still, if Ron could learn with the nature of the obstruction words, she'd be able to come up with a plan for it. Tama raised a hand and pointed towards the northwest. If you leave the school and then turn left, there's a tunnel passage that will bring you to the nearby village. But there was an incident at the tunnel that caused a cave-in, so we can't leave through it. And there's no ways out of the area. Wait, what? Oh, but if it's a cave-in, wouldn't people be trying to get to not have the cave-in because there's still people over here on the side? Ron's mouth lifted at Tama's words. She instantly felt as though she was merely a step away from escaping the school. So that's how it is, huh? That's not so bad. I was worried it'd be some kind of a supernatural situation. The fact that the accident exists at all is good news. It's just that it's blocked. An accident? So when did exactly the tunnel get blocked? I don't know. We discovered the blockage a year ago. Are you serious? A whole year? Ron stared with wide eyes, Tama's word echoing in her head. Tama nodded. She apparently saw nothing wrong with her statement. Instead, looked curiously at Ron. Is something wrong? Of course there's something wrong with that. You said just now that the tunnel's the only out to get outside to the outside world from here. So none of you have gone home or talked to your families in a whole year? And if the road is blocked, then nobody can get in here, right? So what have you been eating? Are you telling me you had a year's worth of supplies stored in your school? Really? From the moment the school showed up here in a place that's so inconvenient to visit and so isolated from other residential areas, the strange should have been self-evident. I don't know. There's always been enough to eat at the school. This girl doesn't think about anything. Ron couldn't help let out a heavy sigh. Look, even discarding the food thing, you're telling me the situation is that you all have been basically locked in here for over a whole year. You don't think there's anything weird about that? Tama had broken eye contact with Ron and was looking straight down on the ground while nervously fidgeting with her fingers. Seeing Tama's reaction for a moment, Ron thought she was looking into a mirror. She quickly lowered her voice and contrition. Sorry, I just got a little bit worked up. But you really aren't worried about being trapped here? I mean, calling it being trapped. We're supposed to stay at the school anyways until we graduate. I'm sure the tunnel will be fixed by then, so as long as we can leave by then, we'll be fine. How do you know you're graduating? Because you have no teachers. What are you learning? Like, are you guys just teaching yourself? Like, what? Graduation, huh? But I'm sorry, Ibuki. Thomas spoke timidly, interrupting Ron's thoughts. Can we hurry to the classroom? I'm afraid there won't be enough time to clean up. Thomas' gaze slid all over the place nervously and unnaturally, trying to look anywhere other than into Ron's eyes. Ron could practically hear the grinding sounds. It was like she and Tama were gears spinning in opposite directions, so that their teeth now clashed against each other. Is this really the time for cleaning? Ron decided to capitulate and go along with Tama for now. Sorry. Yeah, let's go then. A year. No matter how you think about it, being trapped in a school for a whole year can't be called normal. Let's go ahead and meet other students for now and see how they feel. With any luck, I'll find someone who wants to get out of here like I do. Well, an entire year. That's kind of crazy. I mean, there's like, what is that? There's 3 rows of shoes. Or, yeah, there's 3. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of like places for shoes, but only 7 of them were filled. So I think all the other people like escaped. After they entered the school building, Ron had wanted to ask Tama whether she had thoughts about the broken down staircase ahead of them. But the overly well-natural way that Tama had been behaving up to now made Ron think that even if she asked, Tama would only give some entirely inconsequential and irrelevant response. What was interesting, though, was that after Tama took off her short boots at the shoe racks and placed them in the cubby hole, she actually took out a pair of black wooden clogs for use as indoor shoes. And it looked like there wouldn't be any irritating cracks of wood clogs against wood floors anytime in Tama's future. She walked in them with easy pose and utter silence, like she was taking a stroll out on a morning street free of other pedestrians. Ron guessed that Tama possessed some special walking technique or something. Like how in the movies the maids at traditional hotels could run down the wooden halls together in a row without making any noises that might irritate a guest. Following Tama like this in the hallway, the difference between what she saw now and what she'd seen during the night made Ron feel that this place might not be so bad at all. I mean, in the past she always arrived very early to school as well, and the school building from back then was just like the one here, empty and devoid of everything, except her and the last night there. And later on, a certain Ann would join Ron at her side on a morning like that. Miss Sakura, just where are you? And as everyone spun a memory up for her, Tama, who was still up ahead, suddenly stopped to pull out a red and black flip phone from an inner pocket on the upper hull of her outfit. She opened the phone and tapped it a few times, then her eyes began to shine as she raised a hand to cover her giggles. Tama seemed like she was trying to type something in her phone, and she held it in both hands, tapping clumsily on the numpad with her thumbs. What is it? Something good happened? Oh, it's nothing. Just my roommate always sends me texts every morning after she gets up, with fascinating content every time too. Tama smiles in self-evident bliss. Asakura is my roommate. I believe she's been mentioned before. Wait. Ron raised a hand, making a timeout gesture. That you said you got a text? Yes, that's what they're called, right? It's that thing where I can see the words that Asakura sends to me. Ron immediately pulled out her own phone out of her pocket. She swiped open the screen only to find the upper left corner set continuing no signal, clear as day. No signal. Can I see your phone? Please go right ahead. Tama presented her flip phone to Ron with both hands. The screen on Tama's phone said the same exact thing. Though no signal, it left her thoroughly vexed. Ron tapped on her phone number into the antique flip phone, but she only got a mechanical sounding female voice which informed her that she was unable to connect. Even more strangely, her phone, which definitely made had a Japanese SIM card plugged into it was emitting system errors noise in Chinese. Alright, sure. Okay, so the students' phones must have been modified in some way? Sorry for the holdup. Here's your phone back. Ron handed the phone back to Tama, who carefully returned it to its interior pocket. Ron couldn't help but feel like the phone that however Tama wore made a bizarre combination. Even the flip phone itself was quite outdated as well. I'm sorry, I don't understand much when it comes to how phones work. You don't need to apologize for that. How come you're always trying to apologize? We can talk about the phone thing later. Let's get going for now. Okay, I often make troubles for others because I don't know how to use my phone. So Ibuki's reaction made me worry I'd done something wrong again. The way she thinks is as adorable as the way she looks. I wish I could touch her hair once. It's fine, it's my problem, not yours. Tama nodded. The two of them continued advancing down the hallway and quickly reached the classroom. Tama jogged all the way to the storage cabinet at the back of the classroom and opened it. She got out a broom and a dustpan and began tidying up, standing in the room with most of the dust. Let me help as well. Is there anything I can do? Sure, he said thank you. Okay, so I'm going to end the video here. I think it's interesting so far. I'm curious to see who else we meet. I think she's like from a different era, but I don't know. We'll see. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.